Okay, students, Chapter 2 of A Tale of Two Cities gets right into a little bit more of the plot of the story, but there are a few perhaps confusing things here at the beginning, and so I wanted to just kind of talk through a little bit of this with you and perhaps read a few things here at the beginning. It's the title of this is called The Mail, and what that means is the Dover Mail, which is a coach that carried the mail to Dover. And so that's why this is called The Mail. It says it was the Dover Road that lay on a Friday night late in November before the first of the persons with whom this history has business. The Dover Road lay as to him beyond the Dover Mail as it lumbered up Shooter's Hill. Shooter's Hill is a hill southeast of London. Um, and it says he walked uphill in the mire by the side of the mail, as the rest of the passengers did, not because they had the least relish for walking exercise under the circumstances, but because the hill and the harness and the mud and the mail were all so heavy that the horses had 3 times already come to a stop, besides once drawing the coach across the road with the mutinous intent of taking it back to Blackheath. Reins and whip and coachman and guard, however, in combination, had read that article of war which forbade a purpose otherwise strongly in favor of the argument that some brute animals are endowed with reason, and the team had capitulated and returned to their duty. Blackheath is 3 miles from Shooter's Hill, and from this paragraph what we're seeing is that they feel bad for the horses. The horses are having a hard time pulling the coach with its passengers and the mail up the hill, and so therefore most of the people got out and are letting, and some of them are even pushing, it sounds like, the coach so that they can try to get over that hill. It says, with drooping heads and tremulous tails they mashed their way through the thick mud, floundering and stumbling between whiles as if they were falling to pieces at the larger joints. So again, a kind of a description of the horses, but also of the men trying to walk in the mud and try to get up the hill with the horses. Um, if you'll look on the next page, it should be page 11 in the hardbound book. 2 other passengers besides the one were plodding up the hill by the side of the mail. All 3 were wrapped to the cheek bones and over the ears and wore jack boots. So again, it must be quite cold. And it says in the next paragraph, the Dover Mail was in its usual genial position, that the guard suspected the passengers and the passengers suspected one another and the guard. And they all suspected everybody else, and the coachman was sure of nothing but the horses, as to which cattle he could with a clear conscience have taken his oath on the 2 testaments that they were not fit for the journey. So especially when a coach has to stop, when a coach stops, this is kind of like an Old West type of thing. If a coach has to stop, there's more possibility of it being robbed. That's why if it's moving, the people are more secure, more safe when it's moving than if it has to stop or slow down or try to get up a hill. That might be the very place that some bandits or robbers might be holding up and wanting to rob the coach and get the mail in hopes that there's going to be money or possessions or something in the mail that they could have. Now on page 12 it says, once more the Dover Mail struggled on with the jack boots of its passengers squashing along by its side. So again, they're trying to make things a little bit easier for the horses. Now, as they're doing this, there is a there's somebody coming up on a horse, and they're pretty worried about it because anybody galloping a horse, that could be serious business at this time of the night. I believe it's quite dark. Um, and so the person says, that comes up on the horse, "Is that the Dover Mail?" This is on page 13. "Why do you want to know?" "I want a passenger if it is." "What passenger?" "Mr. Jarvis Lorry." And so the guard says, "Keep where you are, because if I should make a mistake, it could never be set right in your lifetime. Gentleman of the name of Lorry, answer straight." "What is the matter?" asked the passenger then with mildly quavering speech. "Who wants me? Is it Jerry?" "I don't like Jerry's voice if it is Jerry," growled the guard to himself. "He's hoarser than suits me, is Jerry." "Yes, Mr. Lorry. What's the matter?" "A dispatch sent you from over yonder, T and Company." "I know this messenger, guard," said Mr. Lorry. "He may come close. There's nothing wrong." But again, the guard's not sure about that. "I hope there ain't, but I can't make so nation sure of that," said the guard in gruff soliloquy. "Hello, you." "Well, and hello, you," said Jerry more hoarsely than before. "Come on at a foot pace, d'ye mind me, and if you've got holsters of that saddle of yourn, don't let me see your hand go nigh 'em, for I'm a devil at a quick mistake, and when I make one it takes the form of lead. So now let's look at you." So it's a pretty good warning to Jerry to be careful about where he puts his hands and try not to grab a gun. Over on page 14 of the hardbound book again. "Guard," said the passenger in a tone of quiet business confidence. The watchful guard, with his right hand at the stock of his raised blunderbuss, his left at the barrel, and his eye on the horseman, answered curtly, "Sir." Now remember, a blunderbuss is kind of like a shotgun, and it'll shoot a lot of different pellets and things, kind of like a shotgun with little balls in it, and so if it discharges, it's going to really do a lot of damage. So, again, that would be the best way to protect yourself, is with a blunderbuss on a coach if you're a guard. "There's nothing to apprehend. I belong to Tellson's Bank. You must know Tellson's Bank in London." This is Jerry speaking. Or is this... "I am going to Paris on business. A crown to drink. I may read this?" Oh, this is Mr. Lorry speaking. "If so be as you're quick, sir." He opened it in the light of the coach lamp on that side and read, first to himself and then aloud, "Wait at Dover for Mamselle." "It's not long, you see, guard. Jerry, say that my answer was recalled to life." Jerry started in his saddle. In other words, he was kind of shocked at that answer. "That's a blazing strange answer, too," said he at his horses. "Take that message back, and they will know that I received this, as well as if I wrote. Make the best of your way. Good night." So Mr. Lorry is telling Jerry to go take that message to the bankers at Tellson's Bank. A little further on, the coach lumbered on again. And toward the end of this chapter, Jerry, who delivered this message to Mr. Lorry, is thinking quite a bit about this. And the very last paragraph says, "After that there gallop from Temple Bar, old lady, I won't trust your forelegs till I get you on the level," said this hoarse messenger, glancing at his mare. Recalled to life. That's a blazing strange message. Much of that wouldn't do for you, Jerry. I say, Jerry, you'd be in a blazing bad way if recalling to life was to come into fashion, Jerry. So he's talking to himself, or maybe talking to his horse here, about this particular strange message that he is recalled to take back to the bankers. Or maybe he's taking this message to someone else. Maybe he's taking it to some woman someplace. But I get the impression that it must be somewhat of a password in order to talk to someone, or to get information, or to find information about someone. Okay. So that's just a short rendition or look at chapter 2 of A Tale of Two Cities. And so um, we'll have to see what happens after this. Now, you need to remember, or at least think about, that Charles Dickens tries to make a few things fuzzy here at the beginning. You don't really capture everything here at the beginning of a novel like this. You'll get maybe halfway through and think to yourself, oh, so that's what Charles Dickens was saying about this particular issue, or alluding to about this particular part. Um, he tries to be a little bit vague in some things to make us so that we have to keep reading and keep trying to figure things out a little bit. So I hope that you will be willing to do that. Okay, signing off.